Hello, and welcome to the Total Mental Performance Podcast, the one and only mindset podcast dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs and coaches master their mindset, giving you insider access to industry leaders around their psychology, their campfire stories, and the mindset required to be successful in this business. I'm your host, Kieran O'Neill, mental performance coach and founder of Total Mental Performance, the world's fastest growing specialist mindset service dedicated to the fitness industry. So without further ado, let's lean in and listen. So today we have actually my hero of 2022. So I was reflecting on who my hero was and why they were my hero. And I picked today's guest, which is Anna Moon. So Anna is a wonderful coach and she has been one of our clients. I think met her in December out here in Dubai, and who she was then and who she is now are just two completely different people. And she's overcome so many challenges, which we're going to go into today. And I think that's going to give you some background as to why she's my hero. And I'm super, super proud of her. Anna, welcome to the Total Mental Performance Podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me. And I'm so honoured to be the hero of the year. Thank you so much.
So it's been a big, big year. For people that don't know who you are, what is it that you do?
I am a female online coach, and we help women go from being in a place where they feel quite lost, overwhelmed, they struggle with self-confidence, and we help them turn their lives around. We help them become empowered, lose body fat, gain strength, get strong. We take them to the place that they want to be mentally and physically. So that is who I am and what I do.
And how did you get into coaching?
I actually started my own fitness journey about 6 years ago. I just fell in love with it. I loved training. I loved the feeling that it gave me. So I became a personal trainer. And then luckily, our friend Ben scooped me right up and helped me sort of fall into the online coaching world, where I was able to help more women on a broader spectrum rather than just sort of training them in the gym. So that's how I sort of fell into it, really.
And how did you get into training?
Do you know what? Funny story, actually. I used to hate exercise, and my ex used to pester me all the time. He was like, "You're really lazy. You need to exercise." And I was like, "Why would I do that? Why would I do that?" And he bought me personal training sessions, and I went and did them, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually great. I love that." I love the way it made me feel, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I can do this. This was really good."
Yeah, awesome. So I want you to go back to that moment we met. So we met at the Inner Circle event. I'd just done a talk, and we met there. And we started working together. You actually did some sessions with me here. And I just want you to describe where you were at that point in time.
So mentally, I remember sitting at that event just feeling so on edge. I felt quite anxious of the people around me because I was in a room of really successful online coaches. I remember listening to your talk, and I feel like my heart sort of sunk, because I was like, that's me. Like the person that you were describing at the bottom of the pyramid, the person that was lost, overwhelmed, anxious, sort of hit a bit of a burnout where they were. Like that was me. And I remember that whole trip, I so desperately wanted to enjoy myself. And I actually stressed myself out so much about having downtime and enjoying it that I really didn't like it. I just felt stressed constantly, like the whole time, just internally. And it was really, really difficult. And I didn't even realize that I was there, but I also didn't know how to escape it at that point.
And what was amazing at that point was, on paper, everything was going well. You had 5-figure monthly revenue in terms of your business. You was coaching, a lot of clients. You were in great shape. You had an influencer account of, how big was it?
I think it's around 230K.
Right. And you've been building that up over the years, right? So on paper, you're in Dubai, you're in great shape, you have the business, you have the account, you have all of that. Underneath all of that, things didn't quite seem to line up with what was being put out there.
Yeah, that was the hardest thing as well, I think, is that, like on everyone's view, I had it all. And like I've been in that position before in my life where everyone viewed me as having it all, like from previous sort of things. And at that point I had the influencer account. I was coaching quite a few women. The business had started to grow through the year, how I'd never expected it. I went from having like no borrowing money off my mum for a photo shoot to having more money than I even knew that you could earn, you know. Obviously traveling to Dubai, I had a boyfriend, I had a flat. Like yeah, on paper, I had it all. But inside there was nothing, you know. It was bad.
I'd like us to go back to when you're a teenager, when you're growing up. The reason I want to do that is because a lot of these formative experiences from when we were kids put beliefs and they put drivers inside us. And they can work really well up to a certain level, but they often trip us up. And that's where we get stuck in the self-sabotage loop of starting something new, getting to the top of it, feeling really good, and then kind of either through fear or imposter syndrome or overwhelm or burnout, we crash, we burn, we fall back down to the bottom. We feel more motivated because we got to start again, and we go around and get stuck in those loops. So could you just run into, because we've worked on a lot with you this year, some of the things that we've worked on, and then also where that comes from?
Yeah, so I think probably the biggest thing for me, wasn't it, that I feel like I'm not good enough for others or worthy of what I have, you know. Everything I think that we've worked on always stems back to this I'm not good enough feeling, doesn't it? And in everything, in relationships, in business, in friendships, everything, I had this huge self-belief that I was just never good enough. And it 100% leads back to the fact that when I was at school, I was just extremely badly bullied, and I was never pretty enough. I was never skinny enough. I was never cool enough. I never fit in with anyone. And I was always like, now I joke about it. I'm like, yeah, I call myself a floater. I'm like, yeah, I don't have like big groups of friends, and I never did at school. And I just got bullied so much for having like, they used to call me like pizza face and stuff like that. And like, it was so hard. And like, when people talk about going back to school and they loved it, it was probably the worst time of my life. And I always have this memory of when these girls made this Facebook group about me, like pizza face. And I remember my mum actually stormed around this girl's house and had to go at her on my back because she was so fed up of how sad and down and depressed it was making me. And I was so young, and I'd been through so much in my life to that point as well with my family. And I remember that being the end point. I remember them stopping at that point and feeling this relief. But I think the damage was already done. Like it was always there. And through everything we've worked on, I've noticed that I am such a driven person, and I will succeed in whatever I choose to succeed in, because I have this underground point of, I will prove you wrong. I will be better than all of you. And it's sad in a way that I had lived my life like that, but it is what it is. Like, that's probably what got me where I am today. But then I think the thing that we've realized, it's the hindrances. It's the one thing holding me back, is believing that I am not good enough to have this business. I am not good enough for X person. I am not good enough to do this. Like that's now a limiting belief. And that's one thing that we worked on, and it's started to open so many doors for me, is actually standing there and saying, like, I'm fucking good enough. Like, yeah, I'm too good for you. You know, if you're not interested in having me in your life, then you don't deserve to have me anyway. So it's been a long road of that. And actually the best thing that we did was you actually took me back there, and I didn't even realize that was the problem. Like, I didn't even know that. It was just always like I'm gonna be defensive. I'm a powerful woman. I'm a masculine woman. I can dominate this, because it's this defense of, I can be better than what you think I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back and speaking to that younger version is so important, that younger us, because that's where all of our subconscious code is written. And the fact that you've gone back there, and they're very uncomfortable moments, and there's been a lot of pain, there's been a lot of tears in those moments, but seeing you evolve out of that into the woman that you are now, the type of woman that builds a business in a sustainable way, that builds a lifestyle in a sustainable way, being able to go out and travel and do the things and have the experiences you want, not out of pain and protection, but seeing out of growth, is just absolutely inspiring. If you could go back to that younger you and just pass on 3 things that would help her let go of all of that conditioning of not being good enough and not being lovable, what would the 3 things be?
Um, for sure, just that one word, like you are good enough. Like you don't have to validate yourself to anybody, because whatever anyone thinks of you is just an insecurity of their own. And I now understand that that is what bullying is that it's somebody else's self insecurity, and that's why I never impose that on anyone, because it's nothing to do with me. What anyone wants to do in their life is up to them. So just giving her the belief of that and the understanding that that's okay. I think one of the things I'd like to say to her is you will fucking smash it, you know, because I think at school I didn't do very well either, so it didn't help. You know, I got like D's, E's. I was naughty, always getting kicked out of class, like a bit of a rebel. And I had this belief as well then as that I would never make it to anything because I didn't have those grades. So also just that reassurance that, you know, I'm not telling kids to fob off school, but what you get in your maths makes no difference to who you are as an adult. And the last one, you're fucking beautiful, girl, because I seriously didn't believe it. I looked at myself for so long. And again, that I think that stemmed into me wanting, it was always stemming into me always wanting to be in shape and look a certain way, because again, I'm trying to justify that I was good looking, you know, like I could do it. I wasn't this pizza face that everybody talked about. Like, and yeah, that was a huge insecurity for me, the appearance.
Some huge learnings. And what's amazing is seeing you take those on board. There's one thing saying them, then it's another thing actually embodying those changes and embodying the fact that, you know, you can do this and you are enough and you're always enough, but conditioning just convinced you otherwise. And recognizing your beauty. And that's not even just on the physical aspect, that's on the emotional aspect, that's on the psychological aspect, and even on the spiritual aspect, just recognizing one's own unique beauty and putting that out into the world. It's inspiring to see. Think about that period of time where, you know, you had everything going on for you, and on paper everything's great, you've ticked all the boxes that, you know, somebody that's ahead of schedule should achieve. But just run me through, things didn't instantly get better. Sometimes in life we have to go backwards in order to shoot forwards, almost like a bow and arrow. And then there was a period of time where you had to go backwards a little bit this year. So if you could describe what was going on in that time and then how you pulled yourself out of it.
Yeah, that was the worst part. That was when we met in December. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was about to happen, and I remember feeling the anxious, the overwhelm. We started working together, and it was I almost all of a sudden felt this relief. I was like, I've actually found someone who gets it, because I remember some of the people that were around me just didn't understand what I was trying to express. And it was like I was just shouting at a big brick wall. And I think in January, that brick wall just fucking collapsed on me. And I, oh God, it made me cry. Yeah, I just didn't want to be here anymore. I remember getting to a point where, like, I remember my ex saying to me, like, your eyes are bloodshot. And I felt like my eyes were just like on fire and it was like the stress and the constant migraines, literally I would wake up overwhelmed and I would go to bed so anxious that I just wouldn't sleep. I'd be in and out of the bedroom, in the front room, listening to you talking to me, trying to get me to fall asleep. Like it just got to a point I just physically could not take it anymore. And it was so scary. And it was almost like fate, because that day that I felt like giving up, we actually had a call booked an hour later, and I messaged you saying, I can't do it. And you were like, put your coat on, ring me when you walk. And I swear to God that call saved me, because I just didn't even know where to go anymore. Like I was just, I felt bad for my ex at the time, because he didn't understand either. He was like, what the fuck's going on? And everyone was blaming it on the business. They were like, you're just doing too much, working too hard. And in my eyes, if I wanted to be successful, I had to do that. Like there was no other way than working myself into the bone, because I was trying to aspire to be other coaches that were around me, because on the outside they were smashing it too, but some of them were the same on the inside as me. And that's what's crazy that I now understand, is that you just can't judge a book by its cover. But yeah, it was so bad. And I remember, like, after we spoke, it it didn't just get better. Like I had a couple of days where I couldn't work. You said to let some of my clients go, which I had to do, which was heartbreaking. And yeah, I remember spending a few days on the sofa in January just crying and just not being able to do anything. I just felt at the end. But after a few days, like it was like, okay, well, this could be the turning point, like we spoke about. This is it, right? You've hit the burnout. Now we move forward. And we worked on so much, didn't we, over those couple of months? Like the biggest thing was sleep, wasn't it? I wasn't sleeping at all. I was getting like 4 hours sleep. So just starting to remove the anxiety, which took ages, but it happened, didn't it? Eventually we had some moody Zoom calls where I'd leave and cry. And but yeah, I think now, I remember at that time I remember saying to you, like, this is never going to end. Like I felt anxiety is probably the worst emotion I've ever experienced in my life. And it wasn't even a little, it was like fucking intense. Like it was overwhelmingly strong every single day. And yeah, we slowly got out of it, didn't we?
You reminded me of a moment which I actually forgot, but it was that moment where we agreed that the amount of work that you had to do in relation to your clients and in relation to where you were at physically and psychologically didn't weigh up. No. And you had to take that step back where you decided, actually, for now, whilst we're rebuilding, because I do believe in life, you have to go through rebuild periods where you rebuild your personal foundations, then you can rebuild the client and the coaching and the financial foundations after that. But I thanks for reminding me of that. I remember us talking about that. I said, is this sustainable? And if this continues, what's going to happen? And you said, I probably won't be here anymore. I says, right. So is it worth continuing down this path, or do we need to accept that actually your business needs to go, you need to shrink it a little bit for now. And then when you're ready, then we'll ramp it back up.
Yeah. I remember it so clearly now, because I remember doing a huge January intake on my own. I think I took Victoria on at that point, but obviously she was so new. Did a 5-day challenge, and I remember sitting on that 5-day challenge thinking, oh, I can't do this. I was like nearly in tears the whole time, but I was like, I have to do this for these women because I have to help them. And I think that was my problem. I was so committed to helping the women in front of me because I could see they needed it, but I was ignoring every single part of me. And one of the best things, obviously it was so hard I think I let like 12 girls go at that point from 1-to-1, which was really tough. And then I remember the most important thing we did is we actually brought in like me time, wasn't it? I think, remember at the beginning of every day, I wouldn't do anything to do with work until about 8:30 in the morning. And then I would stop working at a certain time. I would do my brain dump. I would have my chamomile tea. I wouldn't look at my phone. But I remembered I was triggered so easily. Like I remember if my ex was being loud or he pissed me off, like I'd just get wound up. Like with literally a click of the fingers, that everything irritated me. And it was so crazy. And I remember at that point, I was like, I'm never going to get out of this. But it slowly unraveled, didn't it? Like I say slowly because it needs to happen slowly. It's never going to happen overnight. But I'm so glad that I pursued with the journey because, God, I can't even believe that I was there a year ago because I know that I'll never go back there. You know, I understand my emotion now and I can put it in a box and then deal with it.
Surreal, isn't it? To look at that difference.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Let's talk about how that influencer account was a driver and played a part into that. Because I think I've spoken to quite a few coaches that feel like they need to have a huge following. They need to have that profile. They need to have that level of eyeballs. And I've also worked in my private clients with a couple of few influencers as well that have big reaches and lots of followings. And I think it's easy to say, I wish I had that. But in reality, what I see and in our experience, I'm not sure if it's ever really helpful in coaching.
Yeah.
So how did that contribute to all of this?
Oh, enormously, because it was just this external pressure. And I remember just before my burnout, and I had deleted it because it got to a point where I was like erratic about it. Like it was just too much. And like for some people, of course, like it does go well. Like they get a following that suits their demographic. They sell a lot, like, you know, but I mean, in all honesty, from the people that I know that are influencers and the experience that I had with it a few years ago, they all worry about it. They all worry about engagement. They all worry about their story views. It's the thing that they check when they first get up, the thing that they check when they go to bed. And you get, the problem with it is that like you do get people on social media that are like, be confident, be yourself, but then they'll sit on their stories with a filter on, and that is just a shadow of insecurity. And that's all it is. Like people are just trying to self-validate themselves with abs, with filters, with like engagement, and it's just a bit sad. Like, and it is, but and I've been there. I've fully been there. And there's even ways of it that hit me now. I think, oh, now am I doing the right thing? What do people think of me? And social media is such a powerful tool in too many ways. Like, one, it's great. We have our businesses and we get to reach the people that we want, but also that it just absolutely car crashes so many people. Even my clients, I see they're like, oh, she looks like this, she's doing that, your client's doing this and I'm not doing that. And it's that constant comparison syndrome, isn't it, of everyone around you, because you think that everybody's doing better than you. And I did. I beat myself up. I was like, why am I not good enough to have females want to follow me? What's wrong with me? Like, why don't people like me? Why don't people want to engage in what I'm doing? And that it's just that constant doubt of yourself. What? Because you blame yourself. It's nothing to do with you. It's a proxy algorithm. Out of your control. It's like the weather. Like, you can't control it. And yeah, people, yeah, it is sad, really. But so many people fall into the loop of it because they think that numbers equal happiness, which we've worked on so much. In that, you know, if you're in a really good place, then earning extra money is a fucking bonus because you can do more shit. But if you're not in a good place, it doesn't matter how much money you earn, you will never be happier, or how many followers you have. It's not going to make you happy. Nothing's going to change.
If you could pass on any advice to coaches that, you know, they really want to build a following and they're really, and they're not pinning all their hopes, but it's something that they feel like is super important to them for whatever reason, whether that's insecurity, fear, whether that's, I need it to build a successful coaching business or whatever, what advice would you pass on to them?
First of all, I know coaches that do 30K a month that have got 2,000 followers. So to think that you need that is absolute waffle, because it's how you leverage your account, and it's how, like, if you need 100 women, like, why do you need 60,000 followers? Like, why would you need that? And I would say to them, go away and write down why you think that's going to benefit you. Like, what validation will that bring you? And I guess relate that back to like the money thing as well. Like, you're like, oh, I need to earn 5K a month. What will that 5K give you? What happiness will it give you? And I really do think, like, people need to start to understand that just when you get to 10K, nothing changes. Like, I can't express to you how damaging it was for my mental health. And I couldn't care less now. Like, if I have someone follow me that is not in my demographic of the person that I can help, I will just remove them in the nicest way, because I can't help. I don't want that influenced in my life anymore, because when you have a following and it doesn't go how you want it to, like, I even know people with like 15 or 20K and they're like, my engagement's shit, my page is not doing very well. And that's what does happen, because you end up getting that many people that probably don't actually have an interest in you. They've just fallen upon your page, and you won't benefit from it. Like, if you want to prove to yourself that you can be successful, do it without it. Because in my eyes, that's a person who's successful. Somebody that can do it without this influx of audience of people.
So having overcome all of that, having overcome all of that, and you've pushed through that darkness, and you push through that limiting beliefs, those insecurities, those fears, what does life look like now? Because having seen it, and then also be hanging out here with you, it's just you're a completely different woman.
Fucking awesome. Yeah, life is what do we say, limitless. Yeah, it's crazy actually. Dubai was like the last little tick in the box for me, because I'd overcome a lot this year, but I would still say through summer I was still struggling a little bit, wasn't I? We established I was in the wrong environment, and there's always been things that have cropped up, but I feel like we find something, we work on it, we overcome it, something else pops up, we work on it, I overcome it, and I'm like, oh fucking hell, like every time something comes up, I'm like, I'm just knocking them out of the park. Like, it's great. And I was in Dubai, and the first couple of weeks I felt a little bit, okay, new environment, this is different. And then especially towards the last 5 weeks, I was like, it's clicked. I understand what my purpose is. I understand what I'm doing. I feel in control of my business. My business has done its best ever month, which I didn't even know was possible. You know, we're on top of helping all these women. Victoria's in a great place. I'm in a great place. And I finally relaxed. I enjoyed myself. I was living in the moment more than I ever have. And we did our one-to-one, didn't we, in person? And like I said to you, I genuinely feel limitless. Like I really do. Like the opportunity now of this life, feeling like I do, because I have put that groundwork in the last year. It's fucking great. Yeah, it's great. Like today I woke up and I was like, I'm so fucking happy today. But I still have shit days, like, you know, like you have days where you doubt yourself, but I can pull myself out of it so quickly now. So quickly. Like I have a day and then I'm like, right, tomorrow's gonna be a good day, 'cause enough of this wallowing around. And then I'm like, bang, here we are. Laughing and joking.
And you're in that space now where you're able to recognize that life isn't going to be great all the time, and that's okay. And that has nothing to do with your self-worth as a human being. And it's okay to feel like shit. It's okay to not be motivated. It's okay to not do the work. And like sometimes you're going to have moments where you don't do the work because you're physiologically or psychologically not in the space to produce your best work. And that's fine. So I think seeing that change in you and just the way that you're living life and making the most of it, it's truly inspiring and a testament to your character to keep overcoming. Like you said, what's amazing about psychology is I still work on mine. I've done over 150 hours of mindset coaching and therapy on my mindset, and I'm still overcoming stuff. I'm still learning stuff.
Yeah, it's like a big puzzle, isn't it? Yeah, and I really recognize that now. Like I think the other day I was trying to work and I was like, I cannot get my head in this. But I was like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, let's just have a day where we just are writing Christmas cards and got my nails done. And I was like, right, I'll go again tomorrow. And actually, like, I see other coaches like, I can't get into it today. I'm really stressed. I feel overwhelmed with it. And I'm like, oh my God, like, that's where I used to be. I used to beat myself up if I couldn't get into my work. I used to beat myself up if I was late to a meeting or I missed something or accidentally did something wrong with a client, or if someone said something to me and I would take it the wrong way. You know, I remember just being so on the edge about everything. Whereas now I'm like, don't really matter. That's all right. Don't worry about it. And I do have shit day. I have probably at least one proper shit day a week. But I'm like, it's just life, isn't it? It's never going to be hunky dory 24/7. But it's about your response to that, isn't it? It's about how quickly you can say, what is this emotion? How can I put it in a box and understand it, and then crack the hell on?
That's it. So, what is the phrase? Don't think about us as a team or as an organization or whatever, but what does the phrase total mental performance mean to you?
Life-saving. Yeah, really is. It's life-saving, life-changing. It's been that thing that I've always looked for but never knew existed. And yeah, I wish I found you sooner. I wish I found it sooner. I really do. It's something that I never ever want to stop. And it just means so much to me. It really does, because it's got me. Without total mental performance, I wouldn't be where I am now at all. I don't even know where I'd be. If
you had total mental performance, not the team, but the mindset of total mental performance, how would you know?
You would feel in control of your emotions. You feel limitless. Your performance is great. You know, like that would be the emotion and the feelings that you would have if you had that, which I have.
Yeah. Incredible. It's amazing, because I've been trying to distill what 3 things do I want all of our clients, whether that's in our Mindset Academy or one-to-one. And the 3 things I want every client to take away, and I'm starting to hear this back now. And as I listen to clients that have been through both the Academy and one-to-one in our Evolution program, the things that there's a recurring theme. And as I've been reflecting on this year and listening and taking that in, I realized that the 3 things I've distilled down, and these are the things that I've always been chasing my whole life, and having figured out how to get there and sharing that with others, is number 1 is solid self-worth. It's so important that you have that solid self-worth, because if you don't, you are constantly doing things not because you want to, but to prove to others or to prove to an insecurity that you want to. So that's number one. Number two is mental resilience, because stuff's not going to go our way, whether we like it or not. Shit's going to hit the fan. We're going to have, personal tragedy. We're going to have life hit us in the face. We're going to have business upsets, whatever. But mental resilience isn't about not experiencing that. It's about experiencing that and then finding a way anyway, and just accepting that. And instead of fighting yourself or beating yourself up for it, getting back on the board as quickly as possible and doing what you need to do and getting back on track. And the third thing is limitless potential. And that is really exciting, because when you start to realize that we have limitless potential, we can go out and do what we want. And we're often capable of more than we give ourselves credit for. And sometimes, particularly from a bit of a dark place, we need somebody to believe in us when we don't believe in ourselves. And they're the three things I want all of our coaches to take away, is that you can have solid self-worth, you can be mentally resilient, and you can have limitless potential. Sometimes we just need somebody or a community or a tribe of people to believe in us, and we don't believe in ourselves.
Yeah.
And when you have those environments and those conditions, things can change very quickly.
Yeah, they can. And I think the mental resilience one is such a big one, especially for, like, I think even just for like women every day, whoever's listening to this, or anyone, because like everybody has shit. Like everybody has shit. And I think that it's so easy to wallow in a bit of self-pity. Of course it is, because you're like, well, this happened to me, this happened. I don't think I can ever remember a life when something like that didn't happen, to a month that something like that didn't happen. Like you said, it's about how quickly you can learn to snap around from that and say, well, that is what it is. Life must go on and we have to proceed, in order to move forward. So, yeah.
That's it.
Awesome.
Anna Moon, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really good.